Hello, I'm John Shabako, the co-chair of the NY-GEO 2023 conference and a board member of the New York Geothermal Energy Organization. I'd like to welcome you to this recording of a live presentation from the conference, a two-day event which was held in Albany, New York on April 26th and 27th of 2023. This year's educational sessions and keynotes represent the latest in ground source heat pump system design, product innovations, and installation practices, along with important policy, regulatory, financing, and incentive updates. This presentation is one of over 40 sessions from the two-day event, all of which were recorded and available at NY-GEO's website, www.ny-geo.org, along with session descriptions and a link to download the slides from each of the sessions presented. NY-GEO is proud to make this content available to our members and other industry stakeholders, and if you are a member, thanks so much for your support and participation. If you find this content valuable and for some odd reason you are not yet a member, consider joining NY-GEO at the appropriate membership level with details available at our website. The live recording from the NY-GEO 2023 conference will start in just a moment. Thanks so much for listening.
So I would like to bring up Donovan Gordon and have him give us some introductory remarks for the day. So Donovan, when did you start? 2015. Wow. And he had almost no gray, and I had almost no gray, and I had a full head of hair at the time. Well, I still do, I guess. And when Donovan came to the organization, which some of you have the background on it, he was with NY-GEO. He was with us in the halls trying to advocate for geothermal, and then at some point this position opened up at NYSERDA, and he got it. And he was just and which I've said any number of times, the right man at the right time. You know, he's somebody that really brought a background and an infusion of energy into this industry that we really needed, and he's carried that through. And now there's a lot of activity in the clean heating and cooling space now. A lot of it happened under his guidance, and now he's looking at some other aspects of it that he's looking to grow, and he's going to talk about some of those things today. So I'd like to bring up Donovan Gordon. I didn't cry this time. No crying. I promised.
Actually, Bill caught me earlier. Allergies, so I've been a little teary-eyed. Yes, I didn't have much gray. Also didn't have any grandchildren when I started. Now I have 6. My goodness.
Let me get your slides up. I'm sorry.
It is unmuted? Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. This is, first of all, congratulations to New York GEO for an unbelievable. I was here at the first one, and we were so excited to have 60 people here. Now, 700? Not all in the room right now, but, I guess I'm visualizing all the bodies in the chairs. They'll be here soon. So congratulations on the growth, and welcome to New York, the epicenter of geothermal and clean thermal energy networks. So I'm going to talk a little about that. But before I do that, I want to introduce my team. Now, I don't know if, is Patrick O'Shea here yet? No. I do have a new supervisor. His name is Patrick O'Shea. He did say he was going to be here, but hopefully he'll join soon if he's here before and I'll introduce him. But I do want to introduce my team, the Clean Heating and Cooling team. I'll ask if you could stand, please. Scott Smith, Sue Daugherty, Marilyn Moore. Is Marilyn here? She's leaving us already? All right, anyway. Andrew Piper, Plami Kostova, and Desmond Volmar, today's his last day of school. He's an intern, so he decided to enjoy his last day of school, so he's not here today. So thank you very much. You guys work hard. And really, everything I talk about going forward, these are the folks that's helping me do it. So it's a small group doing big things. So I'm going to cover a couple of things here. I'm going to start off by talking why we're here, why we're doing what we do. which is the New York State Clean Energy Goals. You've probably seen it already, but I do need to talk about it every time because that is what guides us. Everything we do is to accomplish those goals. And I'll give you an update on the Clean Thermal Energy Networks and our PON 4614, the Community Heat Pump program, and looking ahead, what we're thinking about going forward. You've probably seen this slide before. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but I do want to point out a couple things. Now, it says clean energy economy. We're in the beginning of creating and transitioning to a clean energy economy. And I'll put one other word in that as well, inclusive. We want everybody that's able and willing to participate to have the opportunity to participate. So we want to be broad. Women and minority-owned businesses, veterans, everybody that's able to join. We have interim goal, 2025, in terms of energy efficiency, which I'll touch on that, 2030, reducing our carbon by 40% from our 1990 levels, and ultimately our 2050 goals of 85%. This is it in a chart. Actually, John, you don't have a pointer, right? Where we were, 2019, this is where we need to be 2030. Wow, 2050. We've got aggressive. But the things I want to point out, here is the sectors that we really need to address is buildings and transportation. So we're going to focus on the building section.
Yeah, there's a lot of people from out of town as well, so they're less familiar with the state's goals too.
Good. Okay. Yeah, that's why I figured I'd do that. But while we put in heat pumps and do thermal energy networks, which is really infrastructure, so my focus now is really on infrastructure, putting these network pipes in the ground. We still need energy efficiency, building energy efficiency. So we need to tighten the envelopes. We need advanced codes and standards, and eliminating barriers. We kind of know what the barriers are: the cost, the training, and so on and so forth. Now to the point that I really want to get to, clean thermal energy networks and an update on the PON. Most of us probably know what it is. I'm not going to spend time here. It's network of piping loops. It could be central plant or distributed with ambient loop. We call it fourth or fifth generation, but it's really centralized or distributed. We want it connected to on-site renewables, and also some resiliency is going to be the big thing. We don't, the biggest fear that we hear from customers is, if power goes out, I'm not going to have heat, so don't take away my gas, because when we had these storms up in Western New York, people were opening their ovens to stay warm. We don't want that. So we need to make sure that their heat pumps stay on and they stay warm. And I think that's our responsibility. If we're selling them this product, let's make sure that it's reliable and they can count on it when they really need it. They're looking at different sources and sinks, loops, that's what we're here, ground loops, surface water, lake, ponds, wastewater, industrial refrigerants, waste heat, heat coming from building to building, and air source. We want to use every available thermal resource to heat and cool and provide hot water to buildings. No heat should escape. Let's take it and reuse it. That's all the heat pump does, right? Transfer heat from one place to the other. Let's utilize it to the max. This now is sort of an update of the PON 4614. It was launched in February of 2021. And it was a pilot project. We kind of didn't know what to expect here. And it's performed far beyond our wildest expectations, to the point where we actually had to drop a couple of the categories just to keep the funding to the point where we can help it advance. Oh, and please give them the 2-minute warning in the hook. Okay. So to date, we have about 53 projects in the pipeline. 48 of them are Category A feasibility studies, and if all of you followed PON 4614, we no longer have that category. But if you do want to have feasibility studies, you could do it to our Flex Tech program. And right now we still have, 4 contracts pending from our later rounds. Category B, which is our detailed design, we have 6 of them that we're doing right now. Actually, we say 2 contracts pending, but I know we just signed one the other day, so we only have 1 contract pending now. And 3 construction projects. 2 of them I think we've heard about yesterday, one Java, and the one that's Coney Island. So those are 2 I could talk about. The other category, Category D, which is really quite important, we don't really talk about this a lot. We call this our best practice guidebooks, kind of an awkward name for what came out of it, but these are projects that we're supporting. One is municipal charrettes. We're doing that with Pace Energy and Climate Center. And these are charrettes to municipal leaders and decision makers. And we had the first one a couple of weeks ago. It's going to go through the end of next year, so a monthly webinar series targeted to municipalities. So far, so good. The other one we're doing, which is another interesting one, is ATES, Aquifer Thermal Energy Storage. This is the predominant technology used in the Netherlands. I don't know what the percentage is, guys. Like, it's a pretty high percentage. 70, 80% of the town, of the community uses these ATES. So we're taking a look at that, see if that's applicable here. And market opportunity studies. This is ICF did a study for us, where some of the best opportunities for campuses and downtown corridors in New York State. And the report actually is on our website now, and they listed the top 20 campuses in New York City and outside of New York City, and the top 20 downtown corridors that are suitable, that provide the best opportunities for thermal energy networks. And we're also now publishing a Project Champions Guidebook. One of the things I learned very early on in my career here, starting in geothermal, is that in order for geothermal to succeed, you need a champion. So we want to identify who the champions are, certainly at the municipal level, the developer level, the building owner level, wherever we can. Let's get the champions out and give them guidance, help them, so they can really push the cause and get things done within their community or building. So far, we have, in the whole portfolio, we're covering about 2,200 buildings, covering over approximately 1 million square feet, 100 million square feet of conditioned space. Pretty good sample to test. And pretty evenly distributed, 50% upstate, 50% downstate, very good representation of low to moderate income in disadvantaged communities. And yes, a third of them are in multifamily buildings in New York City, and a lot new construction. This is the list. I'm not going to spend much time on this. This is the list of all the projects in the pond. So you can see everything's on our website. So everything will be published and made public. So you can see some of them, what stages there are: feasibility, design, in progress, and not started yet. So there you have that. This is a map of how it breaks out statewide. You can see pretty well distributed across the state. I love that little dot up north there. North Country, wonderful. Gets pretty cold up there. And then to the left, to the right, well, here, New York City, it sort of plots out the projects that we have in New York City. So you can see we have quite a few. So what I'm going to do next is really give you some highlights of some of the projects that's in there to sort of let you see the diversity, the breadth, and the depth of the projects that have come to us. Now, these aren't NYSERDA projects. These are proposals that were submitted to the pond and reviewed by an independent scoring committee and deemed worthy of funding. So while we say this is a NYSERDA program, this is the industry bringing projects to us to help them scope it out. So I'll start off with the first one, Mount Vernon. This is a feasibility study that's about to be started. And up in Westchester, about 600 plus thousand square feet. But I start off with this one because, as I mentioned, we have 53 projects in our queue right now. This is the only project of the 53 that lists a WMBE as a partner. So we really need to do a lot better than that in terms of what I talk about inclusion and making sure that we have as broad a representation in this business as possible. Not only just training and installing, but actually being partners and subcontractors. So congratulations to the team in Mount Vernon. Spring Creek Towers, halfway through the feasibility study, I believe. This is a very, very interesting. I love this one. Spring Creek Towers is, I believe, so since I believe, I'll just put it this way, one of the largest, if not the largest, affordable housing complexes in the country. And I'm going to point out a couple things here. So this is Spring Creek Towers here. Up here is a NYCHA project. Over here is another NYCHA project. There's a creek here, Hendricks Creek, and this side of it is actually a shopping mall, just to give you a flavor of what's around here. So what's being scoped out is this here. And this is about 6 million square feet. It's actually bigger than that. They have a school and a community center, but we're just scoping out the actual building, the actual towers. What they're looking to do is provide 100% of the heating, cooling, and domestic hot water without drilling a borehole. Sorry to say that at a geothermal conference, John, but we're going to do 6 million square feet without doing a borehole. And here's what they're looking to do. Right here, at the end of top of Hendricks Creek, this is where the Mass Transit Authority, MTA, is discharging water that's being pumped out of the subway system. So they're pumping millions of gallons out of the subway system into this creek, which goes out into what we call the Jamaica Bay over here. So right now, that's Endurance Energy is doing this study. That could provide 100% of the heating, cooling for this complex here. 4 minutes left? Oh my goodness, I got to speed up. Okay, well, the thing here is, look at this here. This is a wastewater treatment facility. They treat and distribute tens of millions of gallons of water, and they discharge it down at the bottom of the creek down here. So why I brought up these, we have enough thermal energy here coming through this creek to do a whole little mini city here. So awesome. So now I got to go in turbo drive here. Saranac Lake. What's beautiful about this one? North Country. They want to be municipally owned. But this particular community does not have access to gas. So we're taking them straight to thermal energy networks, which is beautiful. We want to do that. City of Utica, their downtown area in a disadvantaged community, another study that we're doing where the municipality wants to own it, potentially own the system. So there's a common theme here. We got a bunch of municipalities that really looking at doing thermal energy networks. And I'm encouraging public-private partnerships like what's happening in Troy with National Grid. Rochester District Heating Cooperative. This is a steam cooperative. We've got a steam utility that is now looking to convert their steam plant to provide thermal energy network with geothermal boreholes and wastewater. The Children's Village, they're in the design phase. Actually, they just finished their design, as a matter of fact. It's a 180-acre site that provides services for children between ages of 6 and 20 who've gone through the foster home system to help them become functional, citizens. So it really is a rehabilitation. So wonderful cause, and it's a non-for-profit. So we look forward, and they're on 100% oil. 60 buildings on oil. Union College, I think you're alone, right? Okay, he went there. We're doing a study with them about 1 million+ square feet. But the reason I put this on is that I believe they're looking to actually oversize the system so they can provide thermal energy to the disadvantaged communities adjacent to the campus. Again, wonderful story here. Sheridan, this is the John Chivacco page here. Sheridan Hollow, this is a project that actually Aztec is working on along with Gray Edge and CHA to pull this one together. This is a community a couple miles away here in Albany. It's 100+ buildings, but this is mostly single family and a few multifamily area. And again, they're looking at boreholes and I think some wastewater too, or part of it, but solar and on-site renewables and storage, this is the whole package that they're looking to put together on that one. And another good one, right in the heart of Manhattan, Penn South. This is in the feasibility stage. Another $6 million plus, and it is in a disadvantaged community and affordable housing. So you can see here, we've got some big projects targeting and impacting affordable housing and disadvantaged communities. Observations so far? New construction and campuses are the lowest hanging fruits. Yep, as you can see, we got One Java, we've got Coney Island. Yes, they're going to go out first, and as you see the studies that we're now going is small cities and big apartment complexes, the retrofits. We got to solve the retrofit problem. The other thing is, looking at building envelopes, we got to upgrade the buildings, the electrical upgrades that are needed. So these are all things that need to be factored in, different business models. Most common sources so far in these studies are geothermal and wastewater. I'm not even getting to the 500-foot stuff. I know they're working on that. And one big thing is we need drillers. I think that's sort of a common theme. Looking ahead.
Don't look too far ahead.
Don't look too far ahead?
No, you're doing good.
Okay, all right. Well, we talked about the scope and plan. Chapter 12, section B6 has a whole section on support development of thermal energy networks. You can read that. Well, I love this one in chapter 18 that no one really talks about, gas system transition. And we lifted this directly from the scoping plan. One scenario that should be considered is seeking to move whole streets and neighborhoods at a time from gas infrastructure to a community-based thermal energy network that supports heat pumps. Love it. And as we talked about, Utility Thermal Energy and Jobs Act that was passed last year, allowing utilities to now own and operate thermal energy networks. And in the next couple months, I assume, DPS will be naming or the projects, the pilot projects that they've approved from the utilities. We're doing a lot of outreach. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. We have a lot of stuff on our website. We're working internally with departments, externally with other agencies. We're working with strategic partnerships. I do want to say thing in additional focus. I think Christine mentioned it last night, but NYSERDA has entered into a multi-year contract with New York-GEO to help them build the organization, to grow their membership, and to basically serve you much better going into forward. So we're now joined at the hip to a certain degree. Doing roundtables, but the last point I want to talk about is thermal energy storage. I do want to spend a lot of time looking at that going forward. We have please go to our website. We now have a couple of the feasibility studies on the website, and a couple of case studies. We have the ICF study on there. Really, that's worth reading. I promise you that. And the ASHRAE NYSERDA webinar series that we did a couple of years ago. That's a 17 webinar series project. In closing, hopefully this gives you a good flavor of what we're doing here, and that we're doing a lot, and that your trip here to New York for the last couple of days was worth it. And you've learned some things, but we've also demonstrated to you that we are doing what you think we're doing. We're doing a lot. So with that, in closing, I want to say thank you, and to the geothermal industry, start your drilling rigs.
Drop the mic.